You're listening to the B&H Photography Podcast. For over 40 years, B&H has been the professional source for photography, video, audio, and more. For your favorite gear, news, and reviews, visit us at bnh.com or download the B&H app to your iPhone or Android device. Now here's your host, Alan Weitz.
Greetings and welcome to the B&H Photography Podcast. We're fresh back from a nice holiday break and we hope your New Year's has started off well. During our break, John made good use of his time while in Florida. He visited the gallery and studio of famed landscape photographer Clyde Butcher. Butcher is known primarily for his dazzling large format black and white photography of the Everglades and Florida environment. Regardless of your photographic background or your tastes in photography, there is so much you could learn about his storied career. Good example. How many photographers do you know who actually made money selling thousands of prints through the Amazon of the Stone Age, or as we sometimes call it, the Sears catalog? He did it. Anyway, this episode is going to be a little bit different than our norm because it's just a simple conversation between John and Clyde. They touch on a number of interesting subjects, including Butcher's work in the swamps with large format cameras, his recent foray into Sony digital cameras paired with Canon tilt-shift lenses, and his mind-boggling darkroom with vintage enlargers. They'll also be discussing the business models that he and his family employ to market his images, his thoughts on black and white versus color, and of course, his relationship to the Florida landscape, for which he will be forever linked. Clyde is a true American master, and it's a treat to have him on the B&H Photography Podcast. Let's have a listen.
You know, your work, at least the work that you're most known for, is kind of a process-heavy work. I mean, patience and time, working in large format. But let me ask you, do you feel photography is more of a ways or a means? Whether the means be adventure or solace or money? Whatever it happens to be.
Hopefully, photography is an adventure through life that you bring happiness to people through your images. In my work, I'm trying to bring the environment to the public because a lot of people in big cities don't have any idea where their oxygen comes from.
Yeah,
you know, true. so we have to try to convince people that the Earth is round. You think it's round? Maybe I don't know.
Last I checked,
Yeah, and we're a spaceship.
Yeah,
you know, and so we have a finite number of materials here. So through my photography, I hope people see the beauty, and you have to get into it too. I mean, if you look at my pictures, there's a lot of the pictures are not really pictures of things; they're feelings of things. Like I try to draw you in. Like in the center of that picture, there's nothing really in that center. The interest is on the sides, bringing you in. The reason I make my pictures, I guess you probably don't know if you've seen too many. These are all silver prints.
Yeah.
And they're up to 5 foot by 8.5 feet, 9 feet.
Yeah. Nikki showed me the space in the back, the dark room, and the rinsing and the chemical tables.
I think it's 38 foot long sink. yeah. 5 foot by 4 foot trays.
Yeah.
Well, actually, each tray is a sink in itself.
Well, let me ask you this question, then jumping ahead. There's so many questions. I want to ask you about that space that you create in the photo and what you want people to do in that space. But while we're there, over the past 20 plus years now, we've seen this going away from analog film photography and printing. When that first started, I mean, how did you ask yourself any questions like, how am I going to sustain this? How am I going to supply myself with these students as Kodak is shutting down and as, Ilford is, pulling back their... Now we're seeing a little resurgence in that, but at the time, was there ever a question on what you were going to do?
Well, when digital came out and Kodak said, we're out of here, I was getting a little nervous.
Because you can't, it's not 35 millimeter we're talking about here.
No,
right.
I shoot up to 12 by 20 negatives.
Yeah.
Majority are 5, 7, 8. Majority is 5, 7, 8 by 10. Some 11, 14, some 12, 20. 12, 20, 11 by 14 is really silly. You don't really need that much information.
Yeah.
But it's like when you take a 12 by 20 out, it's like taking a television set out there.
Yeah.
Except everything's upside down backwards. Yeah. It's all in color. It's all in color.
That's true. But at that time, did you think to yourself, you know what? I'm going to stick to my guns. This is what I do. This is what I love to do. I'm not going back. Because, sales, I don't know if sales took a hit or whatever, or, those kind of things, but was it ever a conversation you had with yourself, or was it one of those things?
Well, I was a little nervous. I think it was in 1998. We started doing our own books.
Mm-hmm. Oh, really?
So, well, we've always done our own books, but I was doing my own scanning of my negatives.
Okay.
So I had to learn Photoshop so I could get the picture in the book. Mm-hmm. People were trying to teach me Photoshop. I went to a couple of courses. It would take me 2 days to do a picture. Yeah. So I said, I got to learn a way of doing this in analog. Mm-hmm. So I figured an analog way of doing Photoshop.
Okay.
Now I can do an image in 10 minutes.
Yeah. And what does that analog method?
Well, basically, when you burn something,
right,
you burn it in gradients, not with a burn tool.
Oh, okay. So
in that gradient, I can change the contrast in that gradient.
Okay, that's interesting.
So I might have to erase a little bit around it. Say I want to burn a tree, I just erase a little bit around it. I make a circle around it, and then I want more contrast, less contrast. I can do that with a gradient. So it's just like what I do now in printing. We have variable contrast paper.
Right.
I've got blue and green bulbs. So I need less contrast. I turn the blue off and I burn in with green. I need more contrast. I burn in with blue. So I do the same thing in digital now.
Right. Interesting. I like that.
And what's exciting to me, I think I finally got the right camera too. Now, I got the new the Fuji FGX 100.
Yeah.
But the thing about it, it's got 16-bit.
Yeah.
People don't realize the advantage of 16-bit. When you do gradients, they become smooth.
Yeah. Oh.
And you can't do that in 14-bit like you can in 16-bit. The camera to me is too automatic. I have the 50S.
You did. Yeah.
It's got little dials here. This one's all electronic. I hate electronic stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but I've had to figure out how to adapt my Canon lenses to it. Because the aperture is done by the camera.
Right.
So actually Cambo
Yeah.
makes an adapter for the Canon lenses to the Fuji that actually controls the iris independently of the camera.
Yeah.
So I don't have to worry about the camera anymore.
Yeah.
So now I can use my lenses.
All right. There you go.
And I can't shoot without. I mean, there's just people don't realize the difference of getting foreground by lowering the lens than tilting the camera down. If you want more foreground,
Yeah.
I lower the lens. I don't tilt the camera.
Yeah. Okay.
So the perspective is correct, and it's also a different perspective. It's more natural.
Yeah. Oh, I'm kind of surprised a little bit to hear the embrace and the deep dive into the Fuji and, as you mentioned earlier, the Sony, and obviously adapting all these things into the digital world. Was this something that you were brought to you based on the fact that you needed to physically? Or?
Well, no. I tell you, the reason that I started embracing it is because they came out with ink that's archival and paper.
There you go.
So unless you have a media that you can print on that's going to be around for a while. The first media, it was an iris printer. It was good for at least 2 months. And it was dead. Because it was used for proofing offset printing. They only needed it to show the client. Then they threw it away.
Right. And in your mind's eye, the print, and maybe, excuse me for even asking this, but the print is the final product. I mean, when you see what you're looking at, you see through the lens, through the landscape to the print. Is that fair to say?
Well, yeah, I do. You say see through the lens. Actually, everything I do is point and shoot. I do not compose with the camera. Now, you can a little bit more with digital, but with a large format, if you ever use a wide-angle lens for a large format, you can't see the composition on the ground glass. True. If you want to see, if it's focused on the edge, you have to move your head over to the left, and then you have to move it over to the right. So you really can't see the composition. So I've learned. I bought the first retro focus 20 millimeter lens that came in the country in 1962. The first retro focus lens was made in East Germany.
Right.
It was a Flectagon,
Okay.
20 millimeter Flectagon. So I've been using that and wider angles ever since then. I mean, I'm a wide angle. I mean, I've got maybe half a dozen shots that were taken with different lenses.
Really?
Yeah, I go from, if you relate it to full frame 35, I go from about 10 millimeters to 20.
That's it, eh? Everything in focus.
Yep. And that, you know, and that's how I got my Nikon. I have a 19 millimeter tilt shift Nikon
I
lens.
like that, yeah.
I figured out a way of getting it, use it on my camera. I would go to the camera store. I have here in Brayton, we have a great camera store, Florida. In fact, it's the only camera store on the West Coast.
Really?
Yeah.
Left, I guess, yeah.
But they have everything.
Really?
They have everything.
What's it called?
It's called Johnson Imaging. But anyhow, I take the lens down there. He puts it on a Nikon camera. And he shuts it down to f/16. He puts it on preview. And then he takes the lens off, and it'll stay on 16.
Okay.
So I just don't change the f-stop.
Just leave it there. That's great.
So I can use it.
Wow. So I'm actually really impressed that there is a guy in Bradenton that you go to still and buy your stuff.
That's where I got my Fuji.
There you go. That's
My
incredible.
Fuji 100. I got that thing in 2 weeks.
Right.
How many B&H can't even get them?
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah.
This guy, you know, of course, he used my name too.
He wants one.
Well,
help him out.
they've always
Help this
wanted.
poor photographer out.
Well, they wanted me to you know, kind of use it as a camera, but I said, you know, I can't do that until you get good lenses.
Yeah.
They said, well, you got great lenses. I said, you don't have any tilt and shifts.
There you go.
So they said, well, first tilt and shifts, I'll get be on the list,
Right.
because I can't. And automatic, I can't. I don't know how to use an automatically focusing lens. I've never done that in my life.
Right.
So, and mostly I use the scale.
Yeah. Just look at it.
Put it on 10 feet.
Right.
No, see, those lenses don't have that anymore.
Yeah.
You can't
That's
do
right.
that.
Some of them don't. I mean, I bought a Sigma recently that doesn't.
No, you don't have that.
Actually, no, they have a window. That's true. I take it back. But yeah.
But they have the scale.
Yeah.
It's from here to here.
No.
You know?
No. Yeah.
So I'm an old-fashioned fart.
Yeah, well, that's all right. But you got a Fuji.
No, I got
You're shooting the Sony A7 something.
Sony A7 R2
Right.
and the Sony A7S.
Yeah.
So when I do work in the photography in the darkroom, I can shoot that in the darkroom.
And just to document, or
We do videos of our work.
Of your work.
YouTube.
Yeah.
You know, that sort of thing.
Okay. Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
See, this is great. I mean, it's total embrace.
So I'm going I'm actually starting back with film. I got a Jobo.
Oh, yeah?
And I get my darkroom all set up, and I'm going to start shooting 5.7. I'm not going to go 8x10, because I think physically with a stroke I can handle 5.7 and 4x5.
Yeah.
But I decided, I'm not going to do 4x5. I'm teaching my granddaughter how to use a 4x5.
That's great. That's good. Yeah.
But to me, it's 5x7. It's just a logical format.
All right. And back into the swamps? That's the next, back into the swamps?
I've been using my walker lately.
Yeah?
So I've actually rusted a few bearings getting the thing in water. So I've taken it in salt water.
Good for you.
The walker doesn't like salt water.
So in your mind, when do you approach things as like a project? For example, okay, I'm gonna give myself, I don't know, months, years, whatever it happens to be, to embrace this location or this part of the park, or in the case that you did with the Dolly, you know, or is it more like a continuum?
Well,
like a lifelong continuum.
I'm a lifelong continuum, but I do try to create projects. Like I've been working on the springs of Florida because the springs are getting destroyed, and I want to bring awareness to the springs. I'm starting to work on a project on the St. John River, which is one of the same problems that the Everglades has. But on the other hand, I still take pictures down the swamp and Everglades, because the Everglades is my where I really I saw the need to show what the Everglades was about. People are photographing birds and gators.
Yeah.
How many birds and gators have you seen? If you want to shoot birds and gators, go to the zoo. Go to the zoo, you know, or the Florida Aquarium.
Yeah.
Florida Aquarium, you can go up. You can walk 4 feet from a blue heron.
Right. Yeah. But let's get back then. For our listeners, we're looking now at a photo, and I'll just try to describe it. Part of a swamp.
That's actually spring.
It's a spring. I'm sorry. Okay, part of a spring. You see, there's a tree coming in frame on the right, Spanish moss. But your eye is drawn. The tree draws you, and there's a tree on the left, which draws you, and the glare off the water all kind of draws you deeper into what looks like just a set of trees in the background. And as you mentioned earlier, nothing necessarily.
Right.
But once you get in that space, how do you want people to feel?
Feel like they're part of it. That they want to be there. Yeah. Like this picture here, though. This is from our parking lot.
Okay, I got to describe it. It's like the most pristine image in the world. You have a giant cypress, a tree, I don't know, pine tree. I'm sorry, I don't know.
Cypress.
Yeah, an alligator floating perfectly in front, 2 alligators, and a whole bunch of egrets, like one perfectly center frame, and the 2 other like
moss hanging off the.
And that was from
the parking lot
of where? Big
Cypress Gallery.
There you go.
All right. People ask me, one of the typical questions when people come to the gallery in Big Cypress or here, where do you go to photograph? Anywhere. There we don't have El Capitan. We do not have Half Dome. We don't have the Tetons. Florida is a biological state. And it's a very intimate state. It's really biological. I mean, you can go to the same place every year and it's different because the plants are different, the sky's different, the water's different. And then we have our clouds. Clouds are fantastic in Florida.
Just on a side note, the library that in Lee County that I always go to, and I took my kids there when we come down and visit all these years. There's a couple of Clyde Butchers in there. And it was my first experience with your work. Yeah. And they really, how do I say it? They kind of make the place, I love libraries, they're wonderful. So any library is good by me, but when somebody took the time to get these photos and put them in the right place, there's a little something extra going on.
A lot of hospitals.
Yeah.
Have my work. Yeah. And it's really strange because you think black and white is kind of harsh, but they're very relaxing.
Absolutely.
It's a weird phenomenon I create.
I read that you mentioned, color for you. The photographer is going to, and I'm paraphrasing, but the photographer is going to pick out the color that they are drawn to and emphasize that to some degree. Therefore, taking away from, a natural look at the image. Is that fair to say? Why do you choose black and white then?
I'm trying to tell people about nature, not about color. Color, I call color a Xerox.
Yeah.
I call black and white an interpretation.
Yeah. And
one of the things that I try to people to visualize, would you rather have air or water? You have a preference? No, you want both.
Yeah.
So what I'm trying to say there, that everything in nature has the same importance.
Equal value, yeah.
And you can't do that in color.
Yeah.
Can't do it. Unless it's very monochromatic.
Yeah. I saw some of your color work though, and I don't know if it was recent or older, but yeah, there is I don't know if desaturation is the word, but there's something going on, and maybe it's just a haze of that image where I could see it working to your needs in that case. But
most of my color work that I used to do was very monochromatic.
Yeah.
Very subtle.
Yeah. That's what I guess.
Not a Peter Lick type thing. The high saturation and such is just garish to me. And when you one of these large prints, you keep exploring it. People say after a while, they say after a year or so, they say, I keep finding things in that picture. There's one picture I have. It's a water with some lilies, and there's a spider on one of them, pretty good size in the print. And one lady called me, there was a spider on there.
And were you aware? I mean, are you aware of everything in the frame when you get to it?
No, if it just feels good.
Yeah.
People ask me, how do I take my pictures? If it feels good, must be something to capture.
Yeah.
To me, that's what it's all about, is feeling good. Now, when you go out west, I do out west. I've done a lot of work out west. I'm from California.
Right. No, I want to.
And so, I'm quite aware of Yosemite and
it's spectacular. Right.
well, it's like shooting fish in a barrel.
Right. I hear you. If Alan, our host, was here, hi Alan, he would be saying, why are you going out to such a place to shoot the same photo that everybody else shot 20 times and you can whatever. But,
well, because it should be done. I mean, I think every photographer should do the typical shots.
check it off your list first and then get on to something else.
Well, yeah, because I didn't pick Florida. Florida picked me.
Mm.
And when I started photographing, nobody was doing photo in Florida. And now I've got lots of people interested in photographing.
Yeah, absolutely.
We take out photo tours in the swamp.
Mm.
Take people to swamp walks. People have discovered it's a pretty exciting place. Yeah. There's a tree that I found in the Santa Fe River, a cypress tree, 53 feet in circumference. Wow. It's got to be a couple thousand years old.
Incredible, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've read that you've spoken on the idea of the primeval, and I kind of want to jump back then and ask you about your work. I mean, you started out as an architect or in architecture.
I graduated in architecture. I worked for architects for a couple of years.
Do you see any relationship in that and where you started to what you're looking at out here, even the primeval aspect
sometimes the customers look at my pictures and I say, what do you do? Oh, I'm an architect. And he says, now I can see what you're doing.
Yeah, interesting.
An architect can see what I'm doing. Mm-hmm. I'm creating spaces. Mm-hmm. Well, in architecture, you have to design a building that attracts people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but who can take in a building in one look?
Yeah, well,
other than from an extreme
the
distance?
entrance is very important.
Yeah, that's a good place to start.
Okay,
right? Yeah.
So that's what you're trying to do in a building, is to figure out how people get into the building.
Yeah, same into a photo, right? How do you get someone into a photo? Sure.
Right. So in architecture, I was taught how to see.
There you go. I like that. All right.
And that's something that most people are not aware of.
How was, just out of the blue, how was Cal Poly in the 1960s? What kind of environment was that? What did you do? You were studying architecture, I assume. So,
There was 400 people in my freshman class and 13 graduated. Mm-hmm. It's a tough school.
Yeah. And I read that, you got into, you saw some Ansel Adams, you got into photography. Yeah.
I started photographing with my Brownie Hawkeye at 8 years old.
Oh, okay. All right.
And then when I was 10, I moved up to a Yashica twin lens reflex, the 127 film. Mm-hmm. Anybody remember the 127?
Yeah. I had to do a review of an old camera, and we had someone who still sells them up in Rochester. Yeah, he repurposes old sheets. Yeah.
So it's basically 127 is 35 without the sprockets. So I was always interested in photography. And then when I was, I think, about 12, 13, I got interested in doing 16 millimeter movies. So I've always been interested in photography, and I've always been interested in the outdoors. Yeah. So when I was dating my wife in Yosemite, and we saw his gallery there in 61. I can say we could have bought a printer for $75. Oh, God. But we didn't. And I was looking back at it, and there were some great shots he had of redwood trees. And my thought then was, why would you photograph a redwood tree unless the tree was for sale, for lumber? Because I'm an architect. Yeah. I could build 17 houses out of that tree. Right.
That's a really interesting idea. That's what you thought at the time.
So I've come a little ways.
Idea of what is photography? What can it be done for?
But then I got in. But then I actually during school I would take in the summertime when I had some time, which I didn't have much time. I started taking pictures, and then when I got out of school, actually I started into architectural model photography, and I was taking weekends and going out photographing. And I was at we were one of the guys in the office worked with me. It was does watercolors, and he was doing an art show out in front of Kroger's. And he said, "Why don't you build some A-frames, and take some pictures down and see if you could sell them?" So I said, "Okay, I'll give that a shot." So I took them off my wall, took it down there, and I sold them. That's a pretty good idea.
Yeah.
So from then on, I've been taking landscape photographs for art. I started in actually,
and always selling them yourself. I mean, that's kind of interesting, and to a lot of our listeners, certainly encouraging, because what do you do with your first prints? What do you do with the things that you think you want to share and sell? And sometimes people look at the art fairs and they're like, I don't know if that's for me. I want someone else to do it for me. I want a gallery to represent me necessarily, these type of things. But
if you have the passion, you'll figure out a way of doing it.
Yeah.
If you don't have the passion, no matter what I tell you or what somebody else tells you, you're not going to do it. It's a passion. I mean, it's kind of like a drug.
Yeah. Keep doing it.
I've been doing it. My own work since '69. I've done 2 projects outside of the norm, which they were kind of the norm. I did a project in 2002 on the mountains of CUBA for the UN. It was a UN project. Then I did in 2017. I went to Spain and did a project on Dali, where Salvador Dali lived.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Tell us about that a little bit. That sounds interesting.
Well, it was.
Not your normal kind of work.
It was not normal because this had to do more than just landscape. But I discovered going through the gallery with Peter that Dali was really into the landscape.
Let me just jump in here a little bit because Nikki and you mentioned earlier, and I'll just give our listeners a quick idea. You were commissioned or invited to go to the Dali residence and gallery, correct me if I'm wrong, in Spain, to photograph the environs, to put your spin on what he lived in and worked in.
Yeah, where he lived, what his experiences was, and what the environment reflected into his paintings.
His work, right.
It was kind of interesting. After we did this, it was really kind of scary, though, because they actually paid for my expenses. And this is... and the CUBA, my expenses were paid. It didn't make any money, but my expenses were paid. And that's kind of nervousing for me because most projects I've done for environmental groups, government, state, federal, I do it for free. Because if it doesn't come out any good, that's the way it goes. I'm not being under pressure. No pressure.
Sure.
So these 2 projects were a little pressure. And then on the Dali project, I only had basically 9 days. And I had to fill up a museum of 5,000 square feet.
That is pressure.
That was a little pressure.
That's tough. Yeah. Especially in a space where it was somewhat new to you, right? I mean,
well, I've had shows in 10,000 square foot space.
Yeah. No, I mean in terms of what you're photographing. The So some of the best pictures I took were of man-made things. Ones more interesting ones. And you also were using, as you mentioned earlier, a Sony system and the Canon lenses, right? Correct. Yeah. And setting up. I mean, you were setting up tripod shots. Because I was. It was the A7R2, but when I shifted it, I shift to the left, take a picture. Shift to the right, take a picture. Oh, okay. Or when I do, it's really interesting. You could take camera, put the camera vertically, take 3 pictures, left, middle, and right. So you actually put those 3 together. Oh, good for you. So you get more sky, more foreground. Right. So you can take the camera horizontally and go one down, then middle, and one up. Right. Yeah. So you can. There's all kinds of when you have the tilt and shift lenses. There's all kinds of configurations you can use that silly camera in. Right.
Okay, we're going to take a short break, and when we come back, more with our conversation with Clyde Butcher. Stay tuned.
We hope you're enjoying this edition of the B&H Photography Podcast. The best way to support the show is by subscribing on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. For links to gear and more information on today's guests, check out the show notes in your podcast app or visit our homepage on the B&H Explorer website and join the B&H Photography Podcast Facebook group. And now, back to the show.
In the early 70s to 1985, I shot color.
Yeah, and I want to ask you about that.
And I shot a lot of color.
Yeah.
I probably, I know I have one image that was printed 19 by 50 inches framed. I sold 750,000 of them. One image.
Wow.
I sold actually millions of pictures framed in color.
Okay, so I'm gonna mention to you my understanding of this kind of arrangement you had, and please clarify, because it's one of the first questions I wrote on my list, because I'm totally curious about how you set up a business so fast that you could, first of all, kudos, because you're doing the work you love and you're able to then market it to such a degree. Mm-hmm. And now we're talking through Sears, am I right?
Wards,
pennies. Talk about old formats, right? I mean, these places, do they exist anymore? Sears, maybe. But so you had arrangements with them to sell your work, and I'm fascinated by this idea of how it worked. Like, did they have an editor or a buyer, or who contacted you, and what did they suggest, and how did that process work?
Actually, it started out with Spencer Gift.
Okay. Oh, Spencer's.
Yeah.
Sure. Oh, yeah.
In Boardwalk.
Yeah.
With New Jersey, go and see the Boardwalk.
Yeah.
See the buyer. They wanted their front wall. They wanted color to attract people into their store. Okay. It was like a draw.
Yeah.
So that's why we were doing 19 by 50 prints and 24 by 38 inch prints, framed, wood frame. Mm-hmm. So that's where we got started. And then I said to myself, if we put a clock on it, it would make that picture more useful.
Okay.
Just so like mad. We became the largest clock manufacturer in the country.
So it was that image with just the hands over the clock face?
Well, we take a silk screen or print of clock face, punch a hole, put a clock in it.
Okay. Gotcha.
Then we got fancier with mirrors and all kinds. We take a mirror and etch off this. Mm-hmm. We got pretty fancy.
Yeah.
But I think we figured out 1 in every 10 homes had one of our clocks in America.
All right.
And they want to know who started the interest in photography.
That's incredible. So you were out creating these color images, landscape images, and then they were being sold as frame prints for decoration through these major stores that existed. And you were actually printing them at a rapid pace with a team, I assume?
Well, we first started out with originals.
Yeah.
Then we went to lithography.
Okay.
Not lithography, offset.
Offset prints, yeah.
I get lithography and offset. Yeah, people get that mixed up.
All right.
That's offset prints. We'd have a room twice the size of this, stacks of prints 8 foot high of raw paper.
Uh-huh.
We would ship out 1 to 2 semis a day of clocks.
And this is based out of where?
We started in Costa Mesa, California.
Okay.
Then we started another plant in Akron, Ohio. So we had 2 plants, one for the East Coast, one for the West Coast. Right. Because at that point, Akron, Ohio was in 600 miles. 600 miles radius of Akron was 50 or 60% of the population.
Having grown up in Cleveland, I know.
It was a crossroads.
Yeah.
And in California, it's a completely different kind of manufacturing because it's so far away from the East Coast. They did everything. They did masonite. They did all the different things I would need. But in the East Coast, each state had their own particular thing they made. Wow. So we get the masonite from one state, we get the frame material from a different state.
And you were running this business along with your wife at the time? I mean,
we had 200 employees.
And you had 200 employees. And when would you do the photos? When would you go out and take pictures?
Well, it was not as often as like, I mean, right now I do a lot more photography than I did then. Because you have to realize the photographs I took had to be generic.
Yeah.
People in California had to like them, people in Maine had to like them. So they had to be pretty generic.
Right.
And
when you stumbled on a good one, you knew you had it, you could sell it, right?
Well, I know when I took a picture, it was going to sell 50,000 or 200,000 copies. I knew when I took the picture.
And how'd you make the connections with all the different buyers and how'd they find you?
Well, I think we approached Spencer. And after we did Spencer, everybody else started catching on. We got we had three reps. Penny's, Ward's, and Sears were the three main reps. Because Spencer was all in-house.
Okay.
And they were making $300,000 each a year in commissions.
Wow.
I was making $15,000 a year.
That's not right. And
you only want to start a big business if you don't need the money.
Yeah, right. It's incredible. This is the 1970s.
It started really in 70, and the color started in 72. We had a furniture showroom in the Furniture Mart in LA, and we would do gift shows. We had a gift product too. We had little frame pictures. We had our picture. It was a seagull on the back of a cereal box. You sent 3 labels in, $5, you get a picture. You know, I mean, we had our little things in mobile oil for the clocks.
Okay.
When you get your bill, they would have little things in there. You could order a clock.
Oh.
We were in S&H Green Stamps.
Yeah, of course. Makes sense.
We were in about everything. I think I've sold about every kind of place there is to sell.
Sounds like it. It's fascinating to have such kind of a wide, and as you said, when you first saw a beautiful photo of a tree, you're like, well, are they selling that tree?
Yeah.
And so to have this kind of range of understanding of what photography is and can be, and then also, needless to say, because I know the story about your son, obviously, and the time that you took to healing into the.
That's why I went back to black and white.
Right, and out into these spaces where you can be alone for times, and so a whole other aspect of photography. It's fascinating.
Well, that picture behind you there, that one is called Cigar Orchid Pond. I saw the shot in 2000, January 1, 2000. I photographed it. It took me I went and photographed it every year for 9 years before I got that shot. Because the sun had to be right, the plants had to be right. The wind, that's a 3-minute exposure. You can't have any wind in 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Large format's a different world.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, that's incredible. Yeah.
So I have a lot of patience. The sand dunes, this one right here, we were there from sunrise to sunset for 5 days and took 2 images. But it was a good one.
Wow. And what do you think about when you're there? I mean, not necessarily what do you think about, because I'm sure you think about everything, but like photographically, are you kind of waiting for the moment and then pausing, coming back to it, thinking it's right, and then not taking the picture? I mean, because 2 over the course of that time nowadays seems insane.
We were just actually enjoying this. It was not one person that whole week came down the beach.
Just enjoying being there.
It's being there. Yeah. Now in the redwood forest, it's kind of fun because I could usually only take 1 picture a day in the redwood forest. You have to do it before the sun gets into the forest. For 2 reasons. 1, you can't have the stappled light, and 3, you can't have any wind. Because in the redwood forest, you're way down, 300-foot trees. Exposures are like 10 minutes. So you can't have any wind.
Right.
So you spend the whole, after taking your picture, you spend the whole next day looking for the next shot for the next day.
Right.
Exploring and finding out the next shot.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of just contemplation, a lot of exploring, a lot of being together. My wife and I have been doing this together, like I say, for 57 years.
It's incredible. It's incredible. I have so many more questions, and you've been patient for an hour, and I thank you so much. There's a couple things. Your wife had showed me the enlarger room, and there's a couple things that I know a lot of photographers that they've never seen in their life. So can you describe the piece that you have that was the one that was
the camera?
Well, you have the one that's the camera, and then also the one that came from the Miami Herald.
Yeah. Those are two good examples.
Yeah. Let me throw this out there. In Clyde's studio here in Venice, in addition to the gallery spaces and the office spaces, I'm sure, there are the back rooms where the work is done, and there is 10.
It's 2,000. It's 2,000 square feet.
2,000 square feet.
It's actually only 8 enlargers.
8 enlargers.
Yeah.
And they range in size, obviously.
Well, it starts at 12 by 20.
Okay.
11 by 14, 10 by 10, 8 by 10, and there's one lonely 5'7".
Yeah. Anyway, it's incredible space, and in the middle of it is this camera. Do you mind telling us?
Well, the big camera. It was a 24 by 36 copy camera.
Right.
It's horizontal camera. It's on a reel. So I just took the ground glass off the back, put a piece of plywood on it. I had a Aristo make a light source for me. It's a variable contrast light source for 12 by 20 negatives. $6,000. The camera was free. In fact, they called me up. The guy called me up. They did a book for me. We're getting rid of all our stuff, our cameras. You want a
printing? This is a printing company.
Printing company.
Yeah.
You want a camera? I said, sure. I go over there, my little Toyota. I said, I got to come back with a bigger truck.
Yeah, we need a bigger boat, right?
I think it weighed about a ton.
Wow. Well, clearly, yeah, it's huge.
So we had to get a.
There'll be some photos on our website, FYI. I took a couple shots. Yeah.
So we had a engine hoist to put it in place for pull up engines. Then we have another one. It's on the very far left. It was 11 by 14 Salzman, made 1930. It's either 32 or 36 in the Depression. And Miami Herald had it, and they wanted to get rid of it because they got to clean up their space, get rid of all this this analog stuff.
Right.
And I went over there, and I took a friend of mine over to pick it up, and the column was laying on the ground. The column's about probably 10 foot. I said, "You get on one end, I'll get on the other, and we'll pick it up." And didn't move.
Good budget. Yeah. I saw it. I saw that thing.
It was actually lead in it to counterbalance the head.
Oh, okay, interesting.
Because the head was
huge.
Well, right there, where it is now, is half of what it was. It had all kinds of other stuff on it. It had a huge condenser, about 18 inches diameter and about 8 inches thick glass. So you don't want to print black and white with condensers because you have to. Every imperfection shows up, so you want a diffusion. And then it also had a light source that was I don't know what it's called, but it's just a one little bulb. It has a box about 2 foot cube for a power source, and you hit it, and it hits like the heat of the sun. So it goes pop, and it just does the exposure automatically. They were using it for color separations. So I threw all that stuff away.
That's deep. Yeah, that's wow.
That was in '36. It was $50,000.
Wow.
I did pay $300 for it.
Wow, I think you got a good deal, and you're using it.
Oh yeah.
But that's great. I mean, this is the high tech of its era. I mean, incredible.
Then I had another. Actually, I had when they did the 12 by 20 head. I have an extra one up in the attic. So that was $18,000 worth of enlarging heads. But the guy that did it, designed it's dead. Nobody else wants to deal with it anymore. And when I was going in doing my large format, I started back in when I started really big in the black and white was 1986. In that period of time, everybody was getting rid of their enlargers. Now they're a premium now.
I know. Yeah.
Most I paid for the enlarger I think with 3 lenses was $600.
Wow. One last question to ask, and it's more of something we did talk about already, and because I know at the heart of your work is, is making people aware of the swamp, of Big Cypress, of the Florida landscape,
Right.
and what we can do to save it,
Right.
preserve it, do what we can. However, having spent 25 years coming down back and forth to Southwest Florida, all I'm seeing is this nonstop development. I see it where my mother lives down near Naples, and what was a farm is now a Walmart. Maybe there was a couple of little pauses economically over the years, but that's not stopped.
It hasn't stopped, and it's not going to stop. Something like 25% of all the baby boomers want to come to Florida.
Yeah.
The problem is we don't have the water. People think there's a lot of water here, but there's not.
Photography can do a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
Can it stop development? Can it stop a whole generation of people wanting to fill a space that wasn't meant for them? Or what can the photography do? I mean,
I think photography cannot stop development, but maybe it can stop destroying the precious property.
Yeah.
People are going to have to go like in New York City, go vertical.
Yeah.
They're going to have to go vertical. We're going to have to start having our gardens in vertical gardens.
Hanging gardens.
Because you can make a garden in a high rise.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, a rooftop in Brooklyn.
Well, actually, we have what's called a tower garden in our downstairs. We have it enclosed downstairs, which is my storage unit, and we have a tower garden raising our lettuce downstairs.
Oh yeah.
We have LED lights for it.
Right. Oh wow.
Now, we have a 2,000 square foot darkroom, okay, but I have a 900 square foot house.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to put your priorities, I guess. But our house is completely run under solar. We have a Volt, which is charged with solar. And we got $100 back from FP&L last year.
There you go. Oh, okay.
So if everybody did that, it would be help.
I like that. You putting your money where your mouth is.
I can't.
As much
I,
you can.
I really can't complain. Now I can say you haven't got solar, have you?
And what do you do with your chemicals? How do you dispose of chemicals down here?
Black and white's not the problem. What we do is we take the silver out of the fix.
Okay.
The rest of the chemicals, they're not that caustic.
Yeah.
Black and white's not as bad.
Yeah.
We put the developer and the stop neutralizes each other.
Right.
One's acid, one's a base, and they just neutralize each other.
Right.
The selenium is a little tough, but the ground now is actually hurting on selenium. So I guess it wouldn't have to have a little back into it.
Oh, that's interesting.
Now we've got digital prints, silver prints, and now platinum palladium prints.
Wow.
I think we'll stop there.
Yeah, I think it's enough. But did you do the platinum palladium as because of a passion you wanted to, or itch you wanted to scratch, or was that you knew there was a market for it?
I've always wanted to do platinum palladium because it's a way of hopefully archiving the images.
Yeah.
We went out to Santa Fe, New Mexico not this Thanksgiving, but last Thanksgiving, and worked with Don on for 2 weeks, and he's doing our images out there in Santa Fe. He's using an interesting project. He's using to make the negatives. He's using the Piazzo process instead of the color ink process, so that the negatives are really sharp.
Yeah, I saw a couple in the gallery back here, and they were pretty sharp. Needless to say, they got popped, as they say. Yeah.
We spent a lot of time figuring out what percentage of platinum and what percentage of palladium.
And do you do? Did you go out there just to do kind of a quality check and make sure things are the way you wanted them, or
no? This guy's good.
You don't need to worry about that.
Well, what we do is we make an extra print. He keeps that.
Okay. Oh, nice.
And it's called. There's a name for it, but it's basically a.
Yeah.
So he can make sure it looks like that.
Right. Gotcha.
It's platinum is as tricky or trickier probably than silver. You have to have the temperature the same. Right. There's all kinds of quality control things.
Yeah. Well, you got it coming at all ends. I really appreciate it. I noticed on your website that you had, I think, 4 shows running concurrently now, or one coming up in Cuba very soon, one in Indiana. Okay.
But we're starting. We just got show. We just took a show down from Billings, Montana. We had one from Rocky Mountain Museum. Mm-hmm. And then we've had them in Iowa, Minnesota. That one was January 1st. That was cold.
Just this past year?
No, it was a few years ago.
Okay. Oh, wow.
We've had maybe 50 museum shows.
Mm-hmm.
Single, just one-man shows.
And you consider those kind of a retrospective, where you choose some of your favorites, or you pick a project?
We have themes for these shows.
Yeah.
Like the one that's going to Indiana is Everglades.
Okay.
And we're working on an Everglades book now,
Right.
which is going to be really, I think, a nice book.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have the American the Beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have the CUBA.
Right.
And then we have the Dolly.
Yeah, I want to see that Dolly. That sounds really interesting.
The Dolly Museum, it was there for the museum for 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
And they did a fantastic job.
I read once where you said about giving advice to photographers, just don't go out and bang around. Mm-hmm. I like that phrase. I mean, I think I get it exactly what you mean by that. But
with my digital, if I have a good day, I might take 4 images.
Mm. So you maintain that.
Because I can do that because I can shoot a 60th of a second.
Yeah.
Now, you're lucky if you can get one good picture a day. I mean, if you can get one good picture a day,
you're very good. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what I used to do with film. Mm-hmm. For one thing, it costs a lot. Yeah. Takes a lot of time. I think that's one reason people are going back to film, is because you have to learn how to slow down or you bankrupt yourself. Mm-hmm. When I went across the country in 2006 doing work for our America the Beautiful book I did, I took 1,700 sheets of film. It took me 2 months to process it. 25,000 in film.
Wow.
Okay, thank you so much to Clyde Butcher, and thanks also to his team in Venice, Florida, who are so hospitable, especially to Teresa Ziegler and Clyde's wife, Nikki, who put up with John for a whole afternoon. In the meantime, join us next week when we are back in the studio for another episode of the B&H Photography Podcast. And in the meantime, are you still not a subscriber to our show? All you have to do is head on over to Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Overcast, or Spotify and sign up. It's a freebie, folks. We don't ask for money, just your support. And of course, you can always find us on the B&H Explorer website and the B&H Photography Podcast Facebook group. All that said, my name is Alan Weitz, and on behalf of John Harris and Jason Tables, thank you so much for tuning in today.